Iron Man and Captain America and Hulk and all these other popular Marvel characters are taking a financial hit in order to be able to artificially pump in wholesale level distribution of the less popular, newer Disney Marvel characters. That is what this guy is saying. That is what's going on here. And I think this is going to be something
coming.
There is plenty more coming. So if you're still here at this point, please make sure you've hit the share button on this, hit the like button, and do make sure that you are subscribed to Valiant Renegade, that you are following that Park Place every day. Check it out. They've got some amazing articles they put out. We will be discussing this much more in depth. We will be discussing even more details that you have not seen yet that did not get into this article. Hopefully this Sunday on a live stream, we will keep you posted, but make sure you stay tuned into this channel. Renegade Online. Another great day here at Valiant Renegade. It's good to see all of you once again. And if you were like one of the many folks that might be watching this video, not yet subscribed to the channel, please make sure you hit that red subscribe button, turn it to gray, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias. And of course, please do leave a comment below the video before you head out the door today. The comments for YouTube are big, big deals. They're a big help to this. And I really want to hear what your thoughts are, because we've got a lot to talk about today once again. And, you know, we never do these videos unless there is something big and worthy of discussion. And I've got my good buddy here once again, WDW Pro from thatparkplace.com. And he just recently got some interesting information about some kind of, you know, topics that we might have been discussing here on Valiant Renegade for some time, regarding the declining viability, the declining financial viability of some of Disney's biggest franchises, namely Star Wars, namely Marvel. We have seen what Star Wars has become. It's completely disappeared from the theaters, probably for very good reason that we've talked about here. We're seeing Marvel on the decline with a, frankly, oversaturation of television shows on Disney Plus. And the merchandise sales, we have been at least tacitly observing from an anecdotal level, that the sales in the stores just aren't what they used to be, especially with these newer characters that nobody is paying attention to, at least not in large enough numbers to make them you know, worthy of multi-million-dollar merchandising campaigns. And it just so happens that because of our discussions, apparently, Pro, that you were reached out to by someone in the know, and you did an article this week, just within the last 24 to 48 hours, as some of the first people will see this. I'll pull it up right here so everybody can see.
Well, happy to be here once again on the fantastic channel that is Valiant Renegade, with the audience that has the highest IQ on the web, as we have said over and over again. So we're here to feed those intellectual curiosities out there. I just want to say, too, that I find it interesting that we're going to have a conversation about lagging merchandise sales for Marvel, and we're doing this on the day of the revelation out of Samba TV, which I don't particularly care for, but Samba TV saying that She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, has had ratings that are, well, they're the second lowest of all time for a live-action Disney Plus Marvel show. Yeah. And that's just another indicator that not everything is going swimmingly well in the land of Kevin Feige. So,
at cursory glance, and this is going to get us into our conversation, because you and I have been talking about this along with some other folks on YouTube, one in particular that, at least as far as I'm concerned, called it to my attention before at least I caught it anywhere else. Again, anecdotal, but as far as I'm concerned, you know, this particular channel has been tracking and following at the retail level quite fervently over the last 2 years. The warning signs, let's call them, of some of the Marvel and Star Wars merchandise sales problems, to be very kind. Okay. But here we are from Samba TV. 1.5 million U.S. households watched the premiere of She-Hulk in its first 4 days of streaming on Disney Plus. Now, a couple of brief observations on this. I think one of the reasons why the viewership, frankly, was this high was because all of the trailers leading into the show featured Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner Hulk. I think what you saw of him in the first episode might just well be most of what you will see of him in the entire series, with the idea of dragging people into the show. But the issue is it only pulled a 1.5 mil, according to Samba. I'm sure the real numbers are very different. Like Pro, I've learned to have a little bit of skepticism when it comes to these figures from Samba for various reasons. Too many to get into here. But the key part being is that this is basically the second or third lowest rated premiere for a Disney Plus Marvel Cinematic Universe show that they've had to this point. And it fell beneath, I believe, WandaVision and Falcon, which had 10 to 15, I believe, million fewer Disney Plus subscribers in the same market, the United States market, as did She-Hulk. So theoretically, if these shows were doing well, I mean, this show should have opened to 500,000 to 1 million more if the popularity train was moving. But the fact that it's still coming in around 1.5 million with almost 40 to 50% more eyeballs that have Disney Plus now, it's still just kind of churning along. It's a
Well,
declining.
You've also got to say that WandaVision, the marketing for that was all over the place, and it was the first Disney Plus Marvel live action show. So they really didn't even know what they were doing. That was into new territory. The fact that outperformed She-Hulk, and the fact that it outperformed it with a far smaller audience, really says that Marvel is not even maintaining the status quo that they had. And I'm not sure that status quo was great. I mean, it's not like WandaVision was out there blowing up the charts and making people, have to have Disney Plus. That was The Mandalorian. So to see She-Hulk down at the 1.5 million mark, I think it's really a red flag. Now, the other thing to double down on what you're saying, you're talking about Bruce Banner being one of the reasons people tuned in. I also think that there's an additional reason here, and it's not good for Marvel. The reason I think is that in the marketing for She-Hulk, people were looking at this wacky CGI and this political partisan sort of posturing coming out of the marketing. And so I'm thinking that there were a lot of people who are doing the bottlenecking effect, right? When you go by on the interstate and there's a wreck and it's maybe it's an hour later and people are still going slow so they can look and see what happened. I think that's what happened here.
Yeah.
Rubbernecking. Sorry, not bottlenecking. But gotcha. Rubbernecking, where people are saying,
which causes bottlenecking.
Well, there you go. But well played. But I think people are coming in to see, is it a train wreck or not? So that second episode now, where does that land? Does that trend down into Miss Marvel territory? I don't know, but it very well could.
I think this show is going to fall off fast and hard, and I don't think there's much that Disney can do about it. I mean, unless perhaps that the Hulk, the real Hulk, is paramount to this show's continuation in terms of episode to episode. I don't know. I feel like they brought him in on the first episode to get everybody gigged up. Oh, look, we're here for the Hulk, and then he's going to disappear. We're going to turn it over to this She-Hulk character, which is strikingly different, quite frankly, in my opinion, from the OG comic book character, which I think is where, once again, is Marvel is famous for, screwing up the comic book adaptations, at least as we have been in phase 4 to this point. I don't think that's going to stop.
What we're going to be discussing today is what these toy manufacturers, now we know it's what they're dealing with. Think about the toy manufacturers who want to be putting Hulk merchandise out, or they want to be putting Captain America merchandise out. And it turns out, according to this source we're going to be discussing, Disney is forcing their licensees, their partners out in the industry to produce stuff that's got She-Hulk or the Eternals or Agatha Harkness, all this stuff, all these properties that don't sell. They're forcing them to couple them with the things that do sell. and it's creating some real stressors behind the scenes.
This confirms a great deal of what has been reported by certain websites, certain YouTubers for quite some time now, for the last couple of years. And one in particular, and we're going to talk about this because I do want to give him credit. I always want to give credit where credit is due. And that is Jeff over at WCBS, World Class, and I can't say the last name because, you know, YouTube's funny. World Class BSers. But he has done yeoman's work. You know, 4 years later, I can still find these Star Wars toys on shelves. And the $1 Star Wars toys, the Rose Tico pile, the end of days for Star Wars. All of these videos are him going into retail outlets like Target, like Walmart, you know, various places, and finding stuff. Now, of course, Mando merch is immune to that. He talks about this in these videos. But one of the things that Jeff has been tracking quite fervently for some time has been the fact that he's seen things like Eternals toys that just basically sit there on the shelves. And these Eternals toys basically go nowhere. And the fact that they hit the bargain bins before the movies even come out. You know, he posts this on Twitter. He posts this on YouTube. So want to give him a shout out because he's one of the first guys that ever really alerted me to this. It's something I had never thought about. Looking at the financial side of the business workings of Disney was just to go look at the retail level and see how much of this was really going on. And this extends to Star Wars, the High Republic, to Marvel, to all their stuff. So somebody contacted you after watching us have our discussions. Walk us through what happened in this article.
Essentially, we had someone who had been listening to our conversations online and decided that they felt, for whatever reason, that they should reach out to us to get this information out into the public sphere. Now, like I said, we can, with great certainty, confirm that this person is an expert inside the toy and merchandise industry. We can confirm various aspects about that individual. What I can't do is I cannot say that their opinions are truth or that they are fact, but they're worth listening to, that's for sure. And then you and I and the listeners out there, we all have to make our own judgment as to whether or not we believe that these hold water, and we should, you know, base our own viewpoints around them. But it's coming from somebody that I truly believe is an expert in the industry. This is not the full conversation and dialogue that we've received. In fact, we have a lot more, and there'll be more information coming out in the future. But we've taken great strides to hide this person's identity and scrub the conversation from anything that would allow them to be doxxed or lose their anonymity. But we have not changed anything in terms of manipulating the conversation or making it mean something that it did not originally. So here we go. Overall, we, and that being the toy company holding licenses, have mandates from companies operating in 3 huge consumer categories. Princesses, that's Disney princesses, are doing fine for most license holders, no issues. Lucasfilm is a disaster, with new characters having no consumer pull, and worse, even classic characters are now seeing diminishing returns. By the way, there's more communications out there on this topic, and we'll come to it at a later date. Star Wars were previously the most expensive royalties at Disney, though they vary by category. But following the veritable deluge of markdowns at retail, many of the bigger guys were able to negotiate not only rebates, but even concessions on next product because of the markdowns. If it ain't selling, Walmart doesn't want your dead plastic garment or whatever. Also, that the brand is no longer a theatrical brand didn't go over well with business partners.
Well, I find it interesting that he singles out right off the bat, Lucasfilm is a disaster, is his words. And this is kind of not a surprise. We've talked about this before, some of our live streams, and for those watching, you know, we try to do a live show on Sunday afternoons around 5 p.m. Central. Hopefully we will be doing one this Sunday if the schedules align. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. You got the notification bell set, check back in, because as Pro mentioned, there is more stuff. There is a lot more stuff that is not in this article that hopefully by then he and I will be able to discuss more openly So make sure you stay tuned to this channel for that, because what's in this article is great, but the stuff that maybe hasn't been discussed yet is it's even that much more.
I would also recommend those who are listening for perhaps the first or second time to your channel, they should really go back and listen to our conversation we had about the High Republic novels versus the Timothy Zahn books that were being manipulated, let's say, at bookstores in accordance with the Star Wars shelving spaces.
Manipulated's a great word. Yeah.
That's right. But continuing right along, let's get into Marvel stuff. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. But this email is regarding Marvel. Both unit and licensing are down roughly 50% units and about 30% in dollars. The new stuff is failing to generate the level 2 and level 3 interest that brings in the big dollar branded dollars at retail. Level 1 interest is going to see the movie. Level 2 and 3 are deeper down the trickle-down interest chain, where you are willing to buy branded merchandise that is further and further removed from, quote, source, the source, unquote. Spider-Man, Cap, referring to Captain America, and Iron Man are holding everything
OG
together
Cap,
at this point.
Steve Rogers Cap. Let's
That's
be clear.
exactly right.
Steve Rogers Cap.
Not the current Cap.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure that Marvel is pleased with that, but we'll talk about that at a later date. Spider-Man is the only sub-brand showing growth in units and dollars and in fan interest. And I think that's really important to remember. Spider-Man is the only sub-brand showing growth. So even though you've got Captain America, the OG version, and Iron Man in there as holding it together, Spider-Man's it when it comes to growing. Eternals was the worst across the board. No surprise there. But here is the general statement. Female heroes do not sell merchandise.
Ouch.
Sorry, they don't.
They don't.
Unfortunately, current economic conditions mean that few of our mandates are exploratory to find opportunities, but are more in the what the hell happened vein.
Female heroes do not sell merchandise. Sorry, they don't. Again, this isn't Barbie. This is Marvel. And I want to remind everybody, what was the mantra that Disney had? Why did Disney go in and spend billions upon billions upon billions of dollars to buy not only Marvel, but Lucasfilm as well? They wanted Star Wars and they wanted Marvel. Disney has always had a relative market stranglehold on little girls when it comes to merchandising, right? A financial stranglehold. They got that market with Disney princesses. They went after Star Wars and Marvel because they wanted the boys. Here we go. From the horse's mouth, from one of the toy manufacturers that is a big Disney partner, that stuff is not selling. And now they are looking at the what the hell happened vein, meaning they're not interested in trying to fix the problem. They're putting the brakes on it in their own boardrooms, saying, what's going wrong? How did we get to this point to where we're just chucking millions of dollars down the toilet, making toys that are just sitting on shelves and we're having to take back from retailers, costing us a ton of money?
This is the exact same thing that we already witnessed with Star Wars.
Yes.
I mean, Kathleen Kennedy pitched the idea to then CEO Bob Iger. The idea was, if we do a sequel trilogy, we can put in a female lead who will be the proxy Luke Skywalker character. And then when it comes to merchandising, we won't just sell to the little boys, but we'll also sell to the little girls. And therefore, we will expand the action figure and toy lines like mad for Star Wars because we'll appeal to both genders. Guess what? It failed miserably.
Did not work at all.
Here comes Marvel. Here comes Kevin Feige in Phase 4 trying the exact same thing, maybe for ideological reasons, but trying the exact same failed strategy.
And I think the key to this was the first paragraph, Lucasfilm is a disaster, because not only did this same strategy not sell any of the new Disney Star Wars toys, at least nowhere near the capacity that these toy manufacturers had expected, but it destroyed, or it has put undue pressure on the classic Star Wars, which, by the way, Disney highlighted 2 fiscal quarters ago during their earnings report as being an unexpected better than they thought seller in merchandising was, as they referred to in the report, quote, classic Star Wars. They didn't say Star Wars. They put the word classic in front of it in the financial report, which I thought was intentionally, yes. And this information here from this source confirms all of that to a T. And now Marvel is going down the same path. Eventually, that's going to trail off. Yeah, they had a better quarter 6 to 9 months ago in it, but because of things like the Book of Boba Fett and all this other kind of stuff, this B and C tier level Star Wars tripe that they're just pumping out there, it's now damaging sales of the older characters, the older brands, the original characters. The same thing is coming to Marvel.
Say you were going to ship a master carton of 8 plastic drinking cups to Walmart for them to sell individually. What would be the character mix? Confirmed by UPC sales and after-the-fact consumer data, your ideal mix would be 2 each of Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Captain America, and 1 each of Thor and Hulk. Of course, Marvel would ask for 50% female representation, but you could deal that to 25% were Thor and Hulk out, replaced by Widow and Wanda. Thor and Hulk outsell Widow by at least 8 to 1. Good Lord. With an even bigger gap for Wanda. The problem here is as the male heroes sell and you ship in more case packs, the female heroes back up on the shelves and clog the pipeline. Think thousands of stores in the U.S., and of course, that equals markdowns.
And that's where the bottlenecking comes in right there. And that's
right. We foreshadowed with my with my grammatical faux pas earlier. It was just foreshadowing, ladies and gentlemen.
No, and look, I think it's fair to say, and it's not a surprise because, and of course, Disney's not the only one that kind of does this. I mean, this happens across the board where manufacturers want to introduce new products or things like this. This has happened in the comic book industry for a long time. I mean, you can talk to guys like Gary at Nerdrotic or Yellow Flash, people that have been in that line of work for decades. They know that, I mean, the same thing happens there. You want to get the big headline stuff, then you also have to agree to take on some of the tripe that nobody wants because they need to move product. And Disney is basically just sticking it to them all that much harder by telling them that, look, you can still sell Iron Man and Cap, but if you do this for every 10 units of Iron Man and Cap that you buy, you have to take at least 2 units of She-Hulk, Eternals, SHANG CHI, Black Widow, Wanda, whatever. The things that frankly don't sell, at least don't sell in anywhere near the capacity that an Iron Man would. And we're talking at least 1 order of magnitude here, which is huge, according to what we're reading.
Right, and then you've got Marvel and Disney sitting there with all the contractual power to force you to do it, even though you know that it's financially a negative for what you're attempting to achieve.
Yeah. And the source even mentioned things that Disney is to the point, and this is what's key, and I hope y'all have stuck around to this because this is what's key. This is when it starts getting attention of the higher ups, right? Is when Disney has to start making concessions to these manufacturers, to these distributors. Disney has to make concessions in terms of rebates, takebacks, discounts on future orders, because of things that just aren't selling. Disney is now taking a hit. Iron Man and Captain America and Hulk and all these other popular Marvel characters are taking a financial hit in order to be able to artificially pump in wholesale level distribution of the less popular, newer Disney Marvel characters. That is what this guy is saying. That is what's going on here.
And, you know, they could get away with it if it was like a 2-to-1 ratio, right? But you can't get away with it if it's 8-to-1. That's where they're running into That's right, or 10-to-1. He continues, want to make it worse? Sure you do. How about Marvel oblige you to ship a case pack of Eternals-themed drinking cups for each case of classic characters shipped, something they did over many categories when Eternals came out. At that point, the markdowns are so significant that you're losing money in my example. Also, virtually none of the purely TV characters even register with consumers for merchandising purposes. None.
Boom.
I could also add the following. While Disney merchandising department write up the contracts, from a merchandising perspective, all the power is still with the divisions, Marvel, Disney, Pixar, because the key character pools, the design, the screen time, future plans, characterization, in-story interactions, etc., reside in the creative side. Say you still have 20,000 Vision t-shirts in stock and want to know if there are impending plans for the character to help move the merchandise. Well, good luck with that. In that example, the shirts will be moved by the pound to a developing nation for tax credits. And I love
kind of
what
like
Marty said about
Atlanta
that.
Falcon Super Bowl champion T-shirts now are all over Kenya.
Or perhaps Lightyear 2022 baseball caps.
Yes.
I'd say there's a lot of Lightyear merchandise going to Rwanda right now. Here's one more, and we redacted this to protect the person's identity. But somebody told me that a couple high-ups at key Marvel business partners told him that Marvel management, though not Disney management, know damn well that their creative decisions are impacting merchandising revenue, but they are trying to manage things where merch sales from classic characters mask or balance out poor merch sales from new Marvel characters. I mean, do I really have to do 36 hours of focus groups across, and we hid the region, to tell you that Spider-Man is a better merch driver than Doctor Strange, who is a better merch driver than Falcon, who is a better merch driver than Moon Knight, who is a better merch driver than Echo, etc.? Two regional observations for North America. Captain America is number 2 in the US, with Iron Man third, both behind Spider-Man. And in Canada, Captain America is third behind Iron Man. So Captain America is top 3 in both Canada and the USA. Another note on Captain America. Blue t-shirt with shield, but no character visual or name, is a USA bestseller. Falcon as Falcon outsells Falcon as Captain America in our clients' categories. Let me say it again.
Boom.
Falcon as Falcon outsells Falcon as Captain America in our clients' categories. If you only have 3 different SKUs of bed sheets to make you do a Spider-Man, a Cap, and an Iron Man, pay the premium to Marvel to replace the Iron Man with an Avengers bed sheet with all characters, and that will be your bestseller.
This guy obviously knows how this works. He's got the numbers. This guy knows what the internal sales figures are, although he didn't disclose them, obviously, explicitly. He can't, which is fine. This is plenty enough information to go off of, and it really confirms everything that we have been talking about for some time, everything that channels like Jeff over at World Class BSers have been talking about for some time. And I'll leave a link to Jeff's channel in the video description. But Pro, this is some amazing stuff. And I know this kind of goes on. This was a long piece. This guy sent you a bunch of stuff. And I think this is going to be something coming. There is plenty more coming. So if you're still here at this point, please make sure you've hit the share button on this, hit the like button, leave a comment before you head out the door, and do make sure that you are subscribed to Valiant Renegade, that you are following that Park Place every day. Check it out. They've got some amazing articles they put out. We will be discussing this much more in depth. We will be discussing even more details that you have not seen yet that did not get into this article. Hopefully this Sunday on a live stream, we will keep you posted, but make sure you stay tuned into this channel.
For those of you who would like even greater specificity than what's being provided right now, just know that we can only provide information that is ethically and legally obtained. And so we're never going to put stuff out there that could potentially open the website up to a lawsuit or something like that. If you have information, sources, leaks, that sort of thing, make sure that you obtain them in the right way, like this person did. And of course, we're always going to give you the most that we can, but we're never going to cross that line and go into stuff that could get people in real trouble.
And I think that's the way that everybody should play it out here on YouTube when they do this. Do it in an ethical manner, protect people's identities, protect their anonymity, as we always try to do. So thank you all for joining us. Stay tuned, hit the like and subscribe, comment before you check out, and thank you. And until next time, take care.